Welcome to Bishop McLaughlin Catholic High School. This is Miss McKenna, and I just want to go through a few notes that might be helpful both to parents and to students on not only the importance of learning a language, but on some tips to be successful in this course. So let's go through a few things. Some will be obvious, some will be some tips that you've already put into practice for learning. So learning another language is to know another culture. And really, I feel this is extremely important because we can read about other cultures, but unless we know their language, why they use certain words, how they communicate, we really don't understand everything about their culture. So studying a language will improve your grades and skill in English and math. And I say that only because it has been proven by scores and tests like the SATs and the ACTs. It shows that the skills learned in learning a language are very helpful in being analytical for math, for the structure of the English language. So it really is very helpful, and this has been proven. It will increase employment opportunities. I think in this global society, I think those are really obvious, and in 10 years from now, who knows what skills really will be essential for jobs. It will help understand other cultures, so not just for traveling, but for communication. We're always on the internet, we're always communicating with people in other countries, with information from other countries, and sometimes it helps if you know a language to go a little bit more in depth when you're learning. And it looks good on your records. Okay, how much can I learn? Well, it depends on how many years you study the language. 2 years is really not going to produce a fluent speaker, but it will be a great basis for continuing. So like English, math, and other subjects, language learning takes time. Continue language study after high school. So even if it's not the concentration in college at university level, it still can be something that we continue as a minor or simply continue with some classes. Use your second language often in your daily life. So when the kids are home, have them say a few things, but never ask your child, tell me how to say such and such, because that really puts them on the spot, and if they haven't learned that, it's really not something they should be expected to know. So instead of asking them to say something you think of, ask them to just say something they learned that day. If you can study abroad, fantastic. Okay, here's some really down-to-earth tips for succeeding in the foreign language classroom. Bring raw materials to class. In this case, we need our computer. We need to have access to the online book. We need to keep the computer in good working order. We also need the workbook. So we bring the workbook every day in addition to the computer. So make sure that the computer is taken care of before we get into the classroom. Kids will not be allowed to leave the classroom to have a computer fixed during that time. So participate in classroom activities. That's very important. The more we put ourselves into the course, the more we engage in the activity of the classroom, the more we're going to learn. And it makes us feel that we're really part of the class, and that the progress of the class is depending on every single person in that class. Organize necessary information for assignments and home study. You can use a little book to write down your assignments. You can put a little sticky note on the desktop. You can send yourself an email to remind yourself. All sorts of ways kids can just use the computer in front of them and not necessarily even a notebook. Okay, take notes in class and study them. Now, I do not require that students have a notebook or take notes in class. They are welcome to do so. Really, everything will be available to them online. So any of the PowerPoints that I used for teaching in class will be available to them for review, and they'll be told where to find those. If a child really needs a security of pencil and paper, that's absolutely fine. So kids can take notes. Be sure to use them. Okay, attend class regularly. So a lot of kids will think, well, you know, it's not important one class, but really every time you miss a class, you do miss something. So try to be at every class. Find a study partner. This is really helpful, especially in a language where you can speak to one another. You can hear the other person speak the language, so you're not just listening to yourself. Really, a study partner is great for a foreign language. You can use flashcards, you can quiz each other, all sorts of things. Okay? So another thing we want to know is take an active interest in what your child is learning. So tips for parents, really, if they think that you will be asking, well, what did you learn today? I think they'll be a little bit more attentive. Make sure your child brings home textbook and binder and so forth. This is a little bit old. We're not using textbook and binder. Everything will be on the computer. So you may ask your child, can I see what your online textbook looks like? How do you use that? Can you click on that and show me what comes up when you do that? How do you interact? How do you enter your answers? How do you listen to the dialogues? So have your child show you that. And if your child is very much at ease doing that, then they're probably going to be fine in class. If your child says, well, I'm not sure how to do this, encourage your child to ask the teacher for help. Provide a quiet place to study. I'm sure we all know that from elementary school also. Help your child to learn to manage his or her time wisely, and I think those are things they know by now. Okay? A couple of other things. Listen to your child practice. And that again would be that tip where you would say, just tell me anything you learned today, a couple of words that you might have learned today, or a grammar point you may have learned, or what did you do in class. But never ask your child, can you translate for me, and then give them a sentence. Because that really is not what is expected from your child, especially at this level. Alright, another thing, be positive about learning a language. Be positive about whatever language your child chooses to learn. French, Spanish, Latin, whatever your child chooses to learn, because they will be successful in the language they want and not necessarily in the one you think may be more popular. We do live in Florida. Spanish is a very popular language, of course. But if the child wants to take another language, sees the value in learning another language, or simply thinks it's fun, they may just like to hear that language. Go with what the child is most interested in. That's my suggestion. Only because I think you're more successful if you invest your own time and interest in it. So, last one, please call or email me at any time.